Alrighty, I had to find the music. Let me see what we got on here. Flight over Venice from Assassin's Creed 2. Alright, we'll start with that. That's totally fine. Let me close some of this stuff, get out of the way here. So many windows open. Oh my glob. Got some more questions to talk about here, and then we can just talk directly to the chat room. Alright. Bring back up the Skype. Get the cameras back on. Alright. Now I don't have to sit here and hover over XSplit. I can let you guys just talk and have fun with the chat room. The first question I think we have was the split one. It was like the same. Was Joe Ego asked, why would a shaman ever reforge out of spirit? Don't they want to be a team player?
They follow the Vixin line of thought.
Yeah.
Reforging out of spirit. Well, a shorter fight. If the fight is short in duration and you're using the legendary meta, I could imagine that your spirit requirements might be a little bit less. I don't know. I'd go so far as to say reforging out of it, but certainly if the fight duration, your contribution is very limited, 20,000 spirit like I have is useless. I mean, spirit should be a 0, or mana should be a 0-sum game. So I should ideally finish with 0 mana at the end of an encounter. Now I'm finishing with 80, so I'm wasting a stat there simply by virtue of the fact that I'm just not going to reforge out of it in farm content.
Yeah.
Yeah, in farm, what I've been doing this last couple weeks is actually ever since we killed Lei Shen, I've been gradually getting less and less spirit.
Mm-hmm.
I was at 22k when we killed Lei Shen, and right now I'm at 10k.
Yeah, and so I know some people
having
actually,
fun.
some people have been going that way. They've been going int, they've been going int and haste, and trying to power charge it because you have the legendary meta. Really does impact your spirit so much, your spirit needs, that you can go in with much less.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, I talked to my healers, my co-healers before I did that. I was like, "You guys find a mana? Can I drop some spirit?" And they were like, "Yeah, go ahead." So I was like, "Cool." And so ever since then, I've been dropping more and more, just seeing how much crit and how much int I could get. I think raid buffed, I'm like 29% crit or something like that.
Yeah.
It's not too shabby.
while still maintaining the 7613 haste breakpoint.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I don't really on fights.
Yeah. We've got a... Let's see. This is a question from a friend of a friend, or Anna. Is if you could change one specific thing about one of your healing spells, which healing spell would it be, and what would it be to that healing spell?
Ooh, I don't know.
God. I think I'd go with I'd change Unleash Life, and I would make it interact more with other spells. I like the function. Resto, when it went to the tidal waves based healing in Wrath, I really liked that we had a toolkit that synergized, that we had things that buffed our chain heal, and our chain heal buffed other things, and it left Earth living on. So I liked that there was a lot of synergy in our toolkit, and Unleash Life, Unleash Elements, kind of feels like the odd man out in that regard. Right now you use it to buff your healing rain, and that's kind of it. I would have liked to see that do more, or change the way things work. Change, like, I'd love to see it where if you unleash life on a Riptided target, that the Riptide exploded to surrounding players, or it bounced, or it did something with chain heal, so that you had smart options and smart decisions to make as to when you were going to use it.
Yeah. Huh. I think a big one, I think Fieldcrest asked this earlier, or someone else asked it, but he's talking about it again, is the chain heal jump range. That might be a contender.
Well,
go, Vraull.
I mean, if you make it if you made that the glyph baseline, it would be just like any other smart heal at that point. You cast it on someone and it bounces to whoever's within range.
Yeah.
It's kind of boring to me. I mean, and that would take us back to you spam chain heal and that's it, because it's got such a big range that it hits whoever. It's almost no overheal ever, or it's really effective healing and it's all smart healing and it doesn't have a cooldown. That's why they have a cooldown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the thing that I had, or the objection that I have to the glyph of chain heal is that it's trying to make a heal do something it wasn't intended to do. It's supposed to be a collapsed healing. It's supposed to do that. And the recognition that we have a glyph that changes it to now be a spread heal, I think is awkward to me. It makes more sense to me to say, why not just give us a spread heal? Why not give us something to use in those situations that works with our toolkit, so we're not stuck in doing this pre-fight debate. Do I need chain heal? Am I going to have to cast chain heal frequently on this or not? Can my HPS take the hit? Why do we have to go through that debate? Why don't we just have something that serves that purpose instead of trying to shoehorn the square peg into the round hole?
I feel like Healing Stream and Healing Tide were their answers to that.
I agree.
Since it's not what they want our niche to be, we can do it, half the time. We can have Healing Stream up, healing spread situations when you're moving and stuff like that. Whereas when we stack, we have these super strong heals that we could just spam. So.
Yeah, I think, but then that gets back into the niche question of is our niche really helping us at all? And arguably, through the first 2 tiers of this expansion, when raids have been stacked, we haven't been the strongest healer.
I know, sadly.
So, even when they buffed us in a hotfix, we still weren't the strongest healers.
Yeah.
How much do we need to prop ourselves up here? And then it gets ridiculous. And this was the other thing that you were seeing in early PTR testing, when they had the incredible buff and it wasn't 6 targets. It was just insane. I was obliterating people, and that's not how it should be either, because when I was stacked, but when people weren't stacked, I was still struggling to keep up, and I think that's a huge problem.
Yeah, I mean, I remember doing Galakris testing because of all the NPCs. I think I did like 210k HPS, and then the Druid and Pally were like 100. I did more healing than both of them combined. And I was like, this is broken. That was before insane. That was before they changed, put the 6 target cap in. That was the 100% healing buff.
Yep.
And it wasn't cheating because they needed healing to begin with. They do take damage, so I was doing effective healing.
Yeah, I mean, what I did was I'd put healing rain on everything and then stand in between the NPCs and my raid in the pop ascendants.
Yep, bingo. And I think that's a good point, is I think Ascendance was one of the potential solutions. I'm speculating, but I think it was one of the potential solutions to spread out healing, that they thought, well, this will help them. It will help distribute healing to a lot of people, whether or not they're clumped, because it's beneficial when you're clumped, but you can use it just as well when the raid is spread out, and here you're doing lots of healing to this raid. That's not ultimately what it came to be, and we still kind of suffer when people spread. A great example of that is tier 14 and who's it, Windlord, who's after Garrulon. Great example. You spread the raid out, throw a lot of damage at him. There's no way I could compete. I'd sit there just doing single target heals.
I had to play Ellie for that fight.
Oh no.
Yeah, I had to play. Well, because we lost our Ellie Shaman, and it was spam chain lightning for 5 minutes.
Yep.
I think I was like number 3 on damage.
You put a lava burst in there somewhere, but yeah.
You spit there, and then you go, and then you pop, and then you kill 1 pack of them, and you pop Ascendance.
So here's one. There's another one. Or a Moshni asked, I'm curious what you guys think of Mastery. Would they like to see it retooled completely, tweaked, changed? Question mark.
On paper, I think I think our Mastery is really cool, since the lower health everyone gets, the more healing you actually do to them. It's not very good right now, not because it's just practically the fight mechanics don't allow for Mastery to be put to use very often. Like I was saying earlier, you may stack mastery and get this massive greater heal on the tank. But that was one time in the entire fight where the rest of the fight everyone's sitting at 80% health. You know, and then coupled with the like Vixsin said, the prevalence of absorbs and everything, people just aren't sitting low enough health for our mastery to be effective. But on paper, it sounds like a really good mastery. I wouldn't want to see it changed. I would just like to see the raids at lower health all the time.
Well, you might. I mean, I don't know. You say you didn't do a whole lot of testing in Siege, but there are some heroic fights where the raid sits pretty low, so you might be getting that here this next expansion, this next patch. So yeah.
Well, yeah, because they said they wanted to make hots more prevalent in this raid as opposed to absorbs from all the burst damage thrown. And well, guess what? Shaman has a lot of hots. And the healing rain is a hot.
We went over. You guys have 6 to 7 smart heals, so and then percentage based extra healing. Yeah. So
yeah, exactly.
I agree with Vraull. I think mastery on paper is great, and you see this when you venture into like the healer forums, the WoW healer forums. No one loves mastery, Resto Shaman mastery, more than other classes.
Yeah.
If you are not a Resto Shaman, you are just a fan of Resto Shaman mastery. And I don't know, part of it's the forum effect, but it's great, and it's great in concept. And I think there is a solid argument to be made that some of the reason that people like myself and other people don't like mastery is that it decreases our heals and doesn't make us able to pad. And that I fully concede that. I fully concede that mastery is going to taper off, and it means that I'm not going to get as much more powerful at the end of a tier. So yes, it does kind of stink in that regard. As far as retooling it, yes, I'd like to see some changes made to it, but I think that goes back to the thing I mentioned earlier about having these special requirements on Shaman healing, having all of these things that we need to satisfy in order to be good. And if we get that perfect storm of things, then we're dominant. But I feel like that's unfair to us and to raid designers and to people who are in charge of balance of the game, in that they need to balance over this huge swing. If they put in another fight like Chimeran in this coming tier, Shaman would it would just be insane. We'd be doing so much HPS, and that's not something you can really balance around.
Well, Malkarok, if anyone takes damage in the first phase, they don't get any. You can't restore their health. So does you know, if someone's sitting at 40% health, you can't heal them up. Is 40%? Are your heals hitting them like they're at 40% health, but they're actually just stacking this massive shield super fast, which is all counted as effective healing?
I believe so. So I'd have to go back in the logs, but I think that was how it was working, is that you were getting the benefit of their HP percentage, even though it wasn't affecting their HP percentage.
Yeah. I mean, because that's what sucked about Heroic Tortoise. Everyone stopped off our mastery. I mean, it was our mastery paladins, which is useless. It had no effect whatsoever because everyone's at full health, and then paladins were fucked. And paladins were screwed because they're all shields, and the tortoise, the shield from the shell, or the crystal, was taken first over the paladin's absorbs. I think it was. So Malkarok would be interesting.
Malkarok is all about off heals, honestly. Yeah. It's all about off heals, really, keeping shields alive and healers saving cooldowns for phase 2. Basically.
Yeah, phase 2 is
the healing one.
Yeah.
I mean, I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna have both our enhancement shamans pop AG in the pool. Both Purge and Russo will probably pop AG. And then
those shields, they fill up pretty fast. I mean, that was the one thing I noticed in testing, is that those shields really don't take that much. So when we were thinking, oh, we need to max everybody's shields really quickly, let's pop multiple cooldowns, it was like one tranquility was half effective and everybody was at full again. So I don't know, combined with Resto Druids are amazing on that fight because they can just rejuve the world, get cloak procs, have the cloak procs be effective, and then collapse and be amazing with mushrooms and efflorescence.
So, quick question here. Ebix or EBBX asked, is the Vengeance nerf going to nerf single target healing? Like being able to start a fight sitting down? Well, the nerf to Vengeance is going to nerf tanks, and it's going to nerf it's going to nerf Prot Paladin healing. But that's really not going to really affect anything healing oriented. They're going to do less damage.
So you say.
Well, 0.5% is a lot of attack power when you have that much HP. So
the only thing with that was with the tanks, it was they were just doing it so you can't, cheese Vengeance by standing in void pools or sitting down.
Well, yeah.
But I was hearing, from our tank, he's like, he's still hitting the same levels of Vengeance. It's just he can't, I'm gonna sit here and just soak decapitate because I want Vengeance.
Exactly.
So, in that regard, it is an HPS loss because they're not going to be sitting and standing in things like sand traps and void zones.
And down the rabbit hole we go.
Thunderstrucks. Not naming any names. Amy, our main tank, who sits in many things.
Shots fired. Where's Sparkug? Someone tweet at Sparkugs real quick. Get him in the chat room. Field asks you, Vixsin, if you're going to glyph out of Riptide for Thok.
Oh, glyph into Riptide.
Glyph into? Did you try out
yes,
glyph of Riptide? Yes, sorry.
Yeah, so because that interrupt mechanic, you really, the interrupt goes so frequently that at the end you can barely get a healing rain down. So in that regards, glyph of Riptide, making it instant, and no cooldown, it's fantastic in that regards. It does nerf the HPS of it, but
here's one of the other things you can do. This is probably going to run EM. When it starts getting to the point where you can't do that, you pop EM, and then you can keep up with the interrupts at that point. Because, I don't know, it depends what the strat is, but that's what I was doing as a troll was, when it started getting to the point where it was getting closer and closer to my chain heal cast, I would pop Berserking so that I'd stay ahead of the interrupt, and then just wait. The moment the interrupt went out, cast another chain heal or healing rain, and it'd be done before the interrupt comes out. It's just like a little burst, haste CD so that you can keep up.
Yeah.
So, because I personally hate the Riptide glyph. I'm not a druid.
Yeah.
I've been actually using it since I got the legendary meta, or the meta, yeah. And using it just to pre-hot people when I know there's going to be damage going out and I don't really have anything to heal. I'll pre-hot for Lei Shen, Thunderstrucks, and for Megara and everything else. But it's not that effective. It's great if there's constant damage going out in a spread raid, and in Thok I think it makes sense in that you can spread those hots out, and we were talking about how hots are something they're trying to empower in Siege, so I think it makes sense there.
Well, I guess we'll find out because we'll have to compare the logs when we get there.
Yep. Get those log comparisons out there,
Have a math throwdown.
Definitely.
There was another question here. Where'd it go? Oh, not a question. We didn't really talk much about it other than just blamming it. Do you guys have any notes on the new conductivity for Resto Shamans?
I'm never gonna use it probably.
It was good. No. It was really great. In that you could pre-empower the heck out of your healing rain, load it up, get all your haste procs at the beginning when you probably might have been lusting, and keep that empowered for the entire duration. They were very smart. They limited it to 40 seconds, so you're not going to get that superpower for the entire fight. And in that regard, it's just not gonna. It's not gonna.
Yeah, I considered it before they put the time limit on it. I considered it. Once they put that, I was like, okay, no, never touching that.
I think it really only is a buff to enhancement, because we're gonna be lightning bolting so often anyway. It's gonna just I
was gonna say Ellie too. If Ellie wants to, they should put a healing rain down.
Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, because their AG kind of is terrible.
Their AG is not nearly as good as an enhanced AG.
No, it's not. No one's, because enhanced AG coupled with Ascendance ignores armor for 15 seconds, so you just do true mastery invoke when we're stacking mastery this tier nature damage, right? You can burst crazy amounts. So yeah, maybe elemental, but elementals is so poopy pants.
It's still a free healing rain on the tank.
Yeah, it is free.
It'll never fall off either, because I mean, it might fall off during Ascendance, but during the normal rotation, it's not gonna fall off because their lightning bolts are so fast.
Yeah, I think it's not gonna be Resto though. You have just better options with rushing.
Yeah.
So
I just don't. It's good, but. To me, if I have to sit there and think about how to optimize it and replan cooldowns and reset things up, and I really have to dedicate a lot of time to optimizing this cooldown, to me that's a good sign that I probably have better options.
Yeah.
There's probably something out there that will be or even more beneficial in that situation. So it's unfortunate. I know that they wanted to make it more attractive, but I just don't think it's going to be as attractive for Resto.
Yeah, like I said, it looks like an enhancement elemental thing. Because rushing streams is not going to be... Same tier, right? Yeah. Rushing streams is not going to be a thing that I'm going to take, nor would an elemental take. I would basically be sitting on AG all the time. Maybe... but the thing about it is, though, fights that are really, really consistent damage, I could see myself... That's the thing about it, we didn't talk about it during the show proper, is that for Shaman, for me, just for enhancement alone, I know other classes have thought about this before, and Magdalena and Lancel talked about it a little bit last show, was that they're really fine-tuning the talents now. Whereas there's not one clear set cut thing. Whereas, say for example, in Tier 14 for enhancement, you took Echo and Unleash Fury, and you stacked Mastery. In Tier 15, you took Haste because you got the RPPM system, you got the Meta Gem, you took Elemental Mastery and Primal Elementalist because it's the best cooldown in the game. Fire Totem is super good. Now, we're kind of back around to that in Tier 16 though, where we're going to go Mastery, but all the talents are very close together. Whereas, you can kind of pick which ones you want based on the encounter, not just which ones are better than others. Granted, the CDR tree comes into effect, we'll probably go right back to Primal Elementalist, but at least the other tier of stuff is kind of up there in the air. You don't have to take the same talents. So as for Resto, is that a thing where you can kind of a little wiggle room with that too?
Yes and no. I would say...
Yeah.
It's... I could launch into a rant about our final tier being absolutely no choice. We're never gonna touch Elemental Blast.
Yeah, well, no, yes.
Not gonna happen.
I was always wondering if Elemental Blast for healing should give you, like, I know they don't do percentage-based anything anymore, but I was wondering if it should, like, almost be, like a mana restore better than Lightning Bolt. So it's like a small mana pot on a 12-second cooldown.
Like Telluric Currents, which we used to have, and
well,
then
yeah.
away from us?
Yeah.
I mean, it would be interesting, but I think the thing that I didn't like about it when I was originally looking at Miss Beto was uptime management. If you had this thing and it was, I think it's an 8-second buff with a 12-second cooldown, or that it doesn't sync, so you're having to recast it so frequently that you would have been spending, I think my estimate was like 20 to 30% of your encounter time just maintaining this darn thing.
Well, I think what would be cool is if actually for Resto it actually was just a heal. And instead of shooting it at the boss, it shot it at someone else and healed them and then buffed you.
That would be kind of cool.
For kind of the same amount, because I mean, it only hits for maybe 100k.
Well, for you, maybe.
Yeah.
For enhancement now, it kind of hits for a lot. I'm not going to be using it, though. It
doesn't hit that hard.
Yeah, it's frustrating to use as me because I'm so used to just Lightning Bolt, and you can't make a cast sequence macro that doesn't, like, flutter eventually, so I want to use it because it's just fun, and it's like 500,000, you know, not that much, but maybe sometimes. No, it hits for something where, like, almost like 200k non-crit, like, it just, like, because we're mastery stacking now, so...
Yeah,
but yeah. But that would be kind of cool if it became like a friendly target elemental.
Yeah, well,
giant
blammo. For Resto, it made it a single target heal, but then it also increased your stats.
Then it also increased your stats. Yeah. Well, because you guys benefit from crit mastery haste too, so.
Yeah, we benefit from all of them.
Yeah.
I mean, I would put it between Healing Surge and Greater Healing Wave because it's got a 12-second cooldown, but it's free.
Mm-hmm.
That's
interesting. Yeah. Huh, that'd be cool.
Like, getting back to your original question about like, are there situational talents? There wasn't. I don't feel at the start of Mist there was that much situational things I could do with my talent tree.
Sure.
Now there is, in that I might take Unleashed Fury if I'm doing a single target fight. Most of the time I default to Primal Elementalist.
Yeah.
There will be decision making when it comes to the healing tier in choosing Rushing Streams or Ancestral Guidance.
Yeah.
But I don't feel that it's the same sort of decision making that you have with, say, like the Priest tier, and their final tier is very much dependent upon fight. You're going to change that. And I find it so interesting when I switch on my Priest. I respec on my Priest so much more than I do on my Shaman, which is I kind of set it and forget it, and then I may switch it. I may switch to AG if I'm feeling feisty, but really, like if I'm feeling dangerous and I want to live dangerously and try, really I'm not going to change it.
You could live dangerously too, for Homestar Runner. Blast from the past there. So yeah, I don't know if there's any other questions. You guys can definitely hit these guys up on their respective social medias, because I think we're about time to get out of here. We had a 2-hour-long chunk episode. It's kind of hard to always focus on the 90-minute, but there's so much good information. I can't push the show along fast enough, and I don't want to cut you guys off. So, and yeah, we talked about the meta with Totemic Recall earlier today being a huge benefit in mana better than Telluric Currents, because you have to be able to spam cast Lightning Bolts, and it doesn't seem very... because you always want to be healing, you don't want to be Lightning Bolting for minimal damage. It's
only like, what, 25k?
Yeah.
With the mana return based on the damage you do. The damage you do is nothing. It's not like a Fist-Weaving Monk that actually can do kind of okay damage and heal at the same time, right? No other healer outside of like a Discipline Priest has a optimal, like, I'm just gonna DPS and still heal the crap out of you. But that's their niche, that's Discipline Healer, that's the whole point, that's Atonement, that's like part of their deal. So, yeah. That's part of their deal. So, you guys are awesome. Thank you very much again for being here. Vixsin, Vraull. People have been being funny because last week's episode was the only episode in a while that wasn't alliterated, because we had Sko and Sloot, and then Spark and Sheena. Now we have Vraull and Vixsin, right? So... yeah, I don't know why it happened that way. Just alliteration just follows us around in the show episodes. But next week again, we've got Anafel from Something Wicked, Illumina from Stage Clear, and Larold from Royal Militia to just talk about the broad sense of 5.4 and all the little tidbits around it. So we'll see you guys here next week. It was a lot of fun. And again, Vixen's over there at lifeingroup5.com. And then we've got Vraull over here at Twitch TV at Vraull, V-R-A-U-L-L. And there's me, BayTLM on Twitch, doing tons of streaming. I'm actually going to be doing a marathon for the first Heroic Week, where I'm going to be online every day for like 12 hours, something ridiculous. So if you have any other questions or suggestions for me, or if you want to talk to me about the show, I can definitely do it during that time. But we'll see you all here next week. Have a great night, everybody. Have a good week, and have fun in Timeless Island. Have fun in Siege of Orgrimmar. And we'll see you on the flip side next week. And then we're going to have some special episodes where we're going to have recap episodes during the progression to see how the race is going. And then I'm going to be damned if I don't get the winning guild for World First Garrosh on the show. So we'll definitely do that and have like a recap of the race from the World First guild. That'll be a lot of fun. So, yep, cue the Star Wars music. You guys have a great week, and we'll see you here next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.